Coding overloaded. What the hell? Weird. Weird. Ah, Stephen Burridge. Yeah, John, it hadn't even gotten to the point where it says, do you want to go live yet? And you're chatting away and I'm like, what the heck? So you're slightly ahead of the current time. Yeah. Hey, Dragon. Alright, how's our audio sync? Oh, that was louder than I expected. I don't know why I don't expect to be loud when I do it every damn night. Or every time, rather. Let's see. You're alive. Fantastic, you're alive. Brilliant. Marvellous. Fantastic. Haha. Alrighty. I'm actually just trying to clear up, because that's what I was doing. I was clearing up before I get going with the stream, because, you know, the usual sort of daily trash that builds up when you're just racing through to get the jobs done, out of the way, you know, before the next person turns up. And then John starts talking to me and I'm like, what? Hello? The ghost talking to me? Oh, I'm not supposed to be live yet. So I'm quite surprised that YouTube does that, because it wasn't even a scheduled scheduled stream, so yeah, it's kind of weird. Oh well. Hump day, no. Yeah, to me I don't ever think of it like that. I just sort of think of it as in like the middle of the road type day. But let's just leave it at that. Anyway, a bit of a mess of a day. I mean, it wasn't the worst. I've certainly had far worse days, but it wasn't the greatest either. There was a bit of fun and games. Disappointed in suppliers at the moment. Everyone's kind of letting me down. Let's see now. I did at least get a MacBook to fix. Let's have a look what sort of state this one's in. Hey ZX, hey Mr. Borland's here. Hello, how's it going, Luke? The person who sent this will no doubt immediately recognise their packaging. I swear I heard something then. Still get this out. Hey Cormac and Travis. And maybe I should talk about the iPhone 6 Plus that we were battling with. That turned out to be an epic battle. And I have actually won. But it was costly, to say the least. Okay, what have we got here? We have a 1466, I'm sure it is. Except I can't read upside down properly. Yep, 1466. Fantastic. I do love a good 1466. Let me see what our problems are. Logic board and display connector have corrosion from liquid present. Alright, at least it's straight up, forward and honest. I like that. No pretending that things didn't happen. Alright. Oh yes, with the 6 Plus. So what ends up happening with that is I don't have the board, it's actually reassembled. But when you do a 6 Plus Mason change and you change that chip there, then there's usually a row of overfilled parts just in front of where the CPU shield ends. Just between the CPU shield ending and the sensor flex, camera flex connector there. And you take that off just as a precaution so that you don't float those parts if you sit on the Mason for a little bit too long with your hot air. And I did that, and that was fine, nothing floated. But then my Mason wouldn't work and all sorts of stuff. And yeah, if this turns into a 3209, I'll laugh. But then as you would have seen if you watched the previous stream, I lost touch, and then I was losing my backlight and all sorts of things. And it turns out, I'm pretty sure this was a refurb, 6 Plus or Apple refurbed it seemed, because it was purchased through Target, so it must have been reasonably reputable. But it turns out whoever got their hands on it prior to me must have just gone all crazy with the hot air across pretty much all of that top section. And so in the end I had to remove the overfill and redo pretty much every single part, including the LDO chips and whatnot. About the only thing that wasn't touched was the region above the camera connector. That was it. Everything else had to be redone. Even a couple of the caps and bits down here next to the CPU corner, and I had to redo the backlight driver. So that was a major pain. And then, just because I can't be going and blaming everyone else except myself, it turns out through that when I redid the Mason, because I thought, well, maybe it was a bad Mason, and I also redid the Cumulus, and we got a 165 board here. It turns out that the reason why I still wasn't getting any touch after all that is that my M1 wire had drifted slightly away from the green UV cure and merged with the N1 ground ball, the end. So that's why I wasn't getting any touch. But it probably was a good thing, because it made me go through and redo everything else on the board which need to be done anyway. So it all worked out. It's now running. I was very pleased to see touch operating finally. And I most certainly did not get... It was not good value for my money there, my time. Alright. Yeah, Cormac, it wouldn't have been so bad except someone else had gotten there before me with their hot air, and just basically everything had floated off. And I'll explain why when I was doing the usual 6 Plus test for touch and how you give it a little bit of a twist, it really wasn't playing up in the same way. And I was like, hey, this is kind of weird, but I thought, well, maybe it's just cracked a different way or whatever. Yeah, it sure had. Everything else had been floated off. Oh, the battery is disconnected. Battery is one of the first things I disconnect on these things. In most cases, unless I've been distracted by people. The next thing to come out, of course, is the... Yeah, I'm going to have a look at it first before I... You got one of the SX Maxes that have been ruined. Man, I have not heard good things about the survivability of the XS. So Jason was filling me in on some of the disaster stories. Seems that or the XR, I can't remember which one it is. But they have fairly poor survivability rate, it seems. Okay, we've got some liquid that's dropped up the top there. I know they said the display connector on board, but I want to check over everything else, of course. Wi-Fi is ruined. Fortunately, they said cheap to replace. That's not a problem. And our reset controller there is going to need some work. Backlight's ruined. Yeah, okay, so it looks like we've basically got a ruined backlight, for sure, or something close to it. Please be okay. Alright, we've got a little bit of damage on the connector, just there. But it's not... Hopefully it's not a deal breaker. So that's going to have to come off, just out of abundance of caution. This is all going to have to rework. We're probably... Although that backlight line doesn't look too beaten up, we might be able to get away with that. And we've got to still see what's on the other side. So this will be a bit of a flux and boil type job. We don't mind a flux and boil job. Hey, Christ. Yeah, I barely even know the difference between the various X models of the iPhone at this point. For me, everything goes blank after the iPhone 8 Plus. I don't really dabble in anything more. Anything more, and I send down to my good reliable associate Bill from A1 Mobile Repairs. I'm starting to shill him quite a bit. Might have to start charging him. I did have a bunch of drama though with parts, as I was saying earlier, with suppliers. The first thing that went wrong is we had a board we were fixing up the other day, and it needed a new battery and a DCM board for the audio headphone problem. The DCM board fixes the headphone problem, and the new battery fixes the battery problem. But when I ordered it, what they did is they shipped the DCM board and they placed it on top of the soft cells of the battery. And because there was no additional padding around the package, as it just through naturally be getting things pushed on top of it and whatnot, the DCM board, the pogo pins, pushed into the battery, and of course causes it didn't puncture it, but it did damage it enough that you know that in a couple of months that cell's going to start dying. It's going to have a lower capacity, it'll puff up, misbehave, things like that. So I just had to say, no, I've got to send that back. And then to add insult to injury, when I looked under the microscope at the DCM board, it looked like it had been pulled from a machine that had been sitting in a swamp for the last 6 months. Now I know that these DCM boards and a lot of these parts, they're all pulls from existing machines. That is just, you accept that from, it's the nature of the industry. But I really didn't want one that had been looking worse than most of the liquid damage boards that I repair, so I had to send that back too. It's a real pain. And if that wasn't enough, my 6 Plus digitizer connectors arrived today. Except they weren't 6 Plus digitizer connectors, they were 6 Plus LCD connectors. So they were the 36 pin units, not the 50 pin units that I needed. And now I'm trying to have to prove to the person that sent them that they are indeed not digitizer connectors. So yeah, that was a pain because I paid the premium to get that shipped overnight, only to have it turn up and it wasn't what I was after. Rewa IP11 back glass repair. Oh my goodness. I don't know why they're making the back glasses so damned hard to replace. What's cracking me up is watching in the cell phone repair group on YouTube the war between, I think, someone called Joshua Orange or something and Rennie or some other person about these non-laser mechanical hold back glass removal assistance tools, and the absolute bollocks that's going on between the two parties. Yeah, it's just atrocious. It's like, give it up already, guys. And yeah, it's the old mob group mentality type thing. Everybody's ganging up on one side, and then someone makes a funny meme or something like that, and they all laugh about it. But really, it's pretty damned like childish, no matter how they do it. And it's like, yeah, if there was any chance that I was thinking of getting something like that, both parties are pretty much out of the picture now. Definitely not very professional. Then again, I suppose I whinge a bit on here. Not very professional. And as it is, the new design, the one that everybody loves so much compared to the original idea, I can already see it's got flaws in it. I mean, there are going to be problems with the way they've constructed it. It will not do things right. But that's okay. That's for them to work out. But their supporters aren't going to say anything. They're just going to sit by and say, "We love it, man, we love it." Meanwhile, they're like, "I don't really want to use it. I'm going to get a laser machine instead." Okay. Yeah, ZX definitely an unlucky streak, I agree. Frustrating. Very frustrating. Especially when you're trying to clear a backlog of jobs out of the workshop. Hey, Hackintosh. Congratulations on making it. Thank you for being here. Interesting name. Let's see what's looking on the back side. This could be worse than the front side, but you never know. Oh yeah, absolutely. Laser is better. I agree. I mean, sure, it's a, what is it, $1,500, $2,000 piece of machinery, but that's got to be a damn sight better to use that than sitting there with a hot air gun chipping away at glass. So you give me the option of the two, I'll definitely invest the money into a laser machine, because you can use that laser machine probably for a bunch of other things as well. So it's not like it's going to be a dead investment after the first couple of years. There's a bit of junk around here on this 915 chip. I should know what that is, but I don't, so lots of points there for me. Soldering loses 10 points. Yeah, alright, there's a bit of junk there. That doesn't look too troubling. So we'll just have to replace that Wi-Fi card. I mean, I'll have a look at it. Maybe it is repairable. But certainly that whole backlight display area, which reminds me I should check the backlight. Where are you? No, the feedback ball looks okay, so maybe we don't have to run a trace on that one, hopefully. DDR regulator, maybe. So I'm just going to brush off the undesirable dust bunnies. Yeah. Doesn't look too crucial. Kind of curious, that's a piece of glass or something? Whatever it was might have been liquid, and it's hard to say what that is. Flux and boil. Actually, in that case, probably just alcohol wash would do the trick fine. But since this will go through the ultrasonic, because we're doing a LCD connector change, it's not really going to matter. Hey Warren, stamps. Hi Pal Kovacic. Vic, sorry. What do I feel like I've missed here? I don't think there's much else. I think we're just now going to get in with the clean-up process. What's this? Cormac says, I think Josh Orange is going to go back to his housewife duties after that holder anyway. Oh, right. Huh. What ultrasonic do I use? I use a generic $200 10 litre eBay ultrasonic cleaner. I'm a very poor representative of good equipment in that department. This looks nasty. Let's have a look at that LVDS connector. Kind of more worried about up here. So it was running for a little bit. It's going to look edge on this. How's things in Perth, Nicholas? Yeah, a couple of those pins have started to turn green, so better to err on the side of caution and replace that outright. That fuse looks like it's seen better days. Alright, let's get this thing off. Hey Steve K. Yeah, the connector is a bit dirty, but like I said, the fact that there's corrosion on the inner pins, it's easier for me to just replace it outright than trying to risk it. And I think that cap there has taken a dive. I'm pretty sure that's taken it, is it? Oh, I thought it was cracked, but it's just a bit of junk. We'll stuff around here in a bit. We'll get this off first. And looks like I need to change my nozzle because I've been sacrilegious and working on the iPhones. And I kind of end up having to drop down from my preferred 9mm nozzle short to a 6. At least I found with the iPhones I can now do 420 and 20 air, and they're quite happy at that. What fluid do I use? I use a thing called Ambersil ultrasonic fluid. Wow, things are burning up quick there. I get that from Element 14. I really don't know what an analog is for some other brands. If you have access to Farnell, Newark, Element 14, then it's probably in their list. Yeah, I don't know why I'm being all prissy-prancy here. It's a Macbook and I can just yank this thing off. Smoking. Thanks for fixing things. Hey Travis. Perth is raining, you lucky bastard. Man, we could do some rain here. Maybe not as much as we got last year. Yeah, is it too much to ask for a comparatively steady flow of rain rather than an endless torrent or endless drought? Take pride in my work, do I? Well, I hope so. I do try. I try not to completely butcher things. It's like I genuinely cannot bring myself to mutilate JTAG connectors like some other people do. It's just not in my soul. Not yet. Maybe a few more years of doing this and I'll have that hatred. I just realised the face cam's dead. There we go. Now you can put up with my marvellous masculinity face. Hey Andrew Hurst, good to see you. Yeah, Scotland, well pretty much most of that sort of area in Europe seems to have a good supply of rain. I mean England is renowned for it, of course. I guess the English have to have some reason for their dreary personalities. Just kidding, just kidding. As a English convict type, I have full rights to be able to abuse my heritage. Anyone else says anything nasty, you're in trouble. Alright. Good enough. Now we've got to go through the truly difficult process here, and we have to find our connectors. So you value your tips too much to waste them on connectors like that? Yeah. I can understand why. The acidification of the tip, when that happens, can chew through your tips quite quickly. Alright, that's not what I was looking. They're CD3215s. Where are my display connectors? Not in there. Oh, come on. We're playing this game again already. Where are you, you merciless little bastards? This is no fun. I really need to just spend a week doing nothing but revamping this workshop. A week and probably $4,000 or $5,000, I dare say. Yeah, gotta find my display connectors still. We sent all the horse thieves to New Zealand. They seem to have done a better job. I went hunting in my heritage while I was in Launceston last week. We got here for the crime of theft, 2 handkerchiefs and an apron in Wales. Well, conviction was 1800. Wow, you've actually dug that up? That's impressive. I don't know what mine is. I really don't know genuinely what my true heritage is. All I know is that I'm from Adelaide. And in itself, for many people, that may be the crime of the century anyway. Or it could be what I'm going to do to whoever misplaced all my connectors, which of course naturally will be me. So we've got our phone part, so that's about as useful as... well, that's just not useful at all. Yeah, welcome to why sometimes jobs can take forever to get done around here, because I put things down and don't know exactly where I do put them. Come on. Alright, time to start stacking stuff up. Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind doing a stream of reworking everything. I'm certain it's not that. It's definitely not that. Definitely not a bunch of tools that I no longer use, that have been superseded by superior alternatives. Not you. I'm 99.9% sure it's in one of those types of containers. And I picked those types of containers because I believe them to be more visible in the workshop. But I guess the problem is after you get a few dozen of them, the visibility ratio drops right down. Man, this is bad. I'm gonna score myself a few dozen thumbs downs. And I need to be clearing out all the trash that builds up, all just the boxes that everything comes in. And when I don't clear that out, they pile up and you start tripping over them. And then you end up like Principal Skinner one day, trapped by the huge pile of trash in your room. And then you get saved by Bart Simpson, much to your horror. Actually, no, he didn't get saved by Bart, did he? He had to use science and stuff to get his way out. Travis, yeah, the game of hide the MacBook part, yeah. Let's stick there. Dud tools. That was newspapers, yes, that's right. Okay, let's try this again. That's the touchpad. I'm getting a feeling now of what I might have done. Is I may have... You sweet mother of goddamn useless... I can't believe I did that. Oh, what a pain in the butt. I cannot believe that I had one all along. Oh, I am upset now. This is a DCM board that I needed. And I had one all along. And it looks like it's a good one. Not a Swamp Fest one. Great, great, great. So it's like $140 I spent for no good purpose. Now I'm mad. Yeah, 2012 DCM board. Bingo. Yeah, I've got plenty of the other ones, but not the 2012s. And I probably bought that one because I thought, one day I'm going to need a 2012 DCM board. I better stock up now just in case I need it and I'll know I'll have one. And so I did need one and I forgot that I had one. And so I go along and say, well, I better order one to overnight freight. And so I did. And it wasn't any good. God damn. I'm getting real mad with myself now. There we go. There's our connectors. Yeah, need to code inventory. So what's this? I can't help being daft. Yeah. Sad but true. I should be offended by that statement, but unfortunately I'm not. It's only money. Hey there, Farfan. Can't believe that. When I was looking around the other day for one, I thought that I had one. But then I went through my bunch of parts and I was like, oh, I just can't see it. So I mustn't have one. I didn't think to look in the parts bin which had all the new parts in it. Instead I was sniffing around all the reclaimed parts. Warehouse, yeah, I don't think I'll do it. There are some types of software that I explicitly avoid getting involved with. And accounting software and that sort of business, inventory control, all that sort of stuff. I avoid it because it's always an intractable mess. And no matter how much you try to perfect it, no matter how much you round out the perfect collection of features, the more you expand that feature base, the more features that people want you to add to that. And so you actually make your job harder and less probable to finish as you go. So I do not touch that stuff. See, at least with stuff like Flex Boardview or multimeter software, you've got a fairly definite set of goals there, milestones that you hit. And it's, sure, people might say, hey, I wish Flex Boardview would make my coffee for me. And you sort of can go, nah, get stuffed. But then secretly code it anyway and use it as a special feature later. But, when the person suggests it to you, you tell them to go get stuffed because that's a dumb idea. And you don't want them getting any credit for it if you ever do bring it out. That's the other thing. That's why you deny... If anyone sends you a feature request, you immediately deny it. So that you never have to give them credit for it later. Your friend coded his own ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning software. Sick man. Hey Steve Abram, good to see you. Hey Lewis, Portugal, nice to see you. How much basic running costs single person home business per month? That's actually a good question. I would dare say it really depends a lot on where you are and what sort of... Okay, I'm just tacking that down. Remember, I don't do the full push down on this initially. Okay. Not the way I do it. But I would say, yeah, now you got me thinking. It can be hard because a lot of your costs can sort of mingle with your household costs. It doesn't have to be more than $1,000 a month. Software is web-based and now coordinates production around 200 workers. Oh wow, you actually did do it. I thought you mean like you just jumped in and... that's crazy stuff, really. Doing ERP and all that sort of thing, it's the sort of software that once you start writing it, you're in it for life or for a very long time. Or you need to have someone do a corporate takeover or something like that, so you can just wash your hands clean of it and move on to a nice cushy resort somewhere where people can't call you up for support. Because it is just murderous if you have to try and support your old software that you no longer want anything to do with. I mean, so that's why you sell it off. Okay, we're just going to put a little tack there. And one more little tack here. That's not a tack, that's a freaking blob. Alright, that's okay. We'll fix that up. Now the reason why I do it this way is because I don't really like to have the soldering iron jamming in the JSO2, whatever. Tip doesn't really have the thermal transfer capabilities that you need to really do these nicely. So you just use the hot air gun and let it do the hard work for you, and then you end up beautiful joints like that. What's this? If you are around or 30 below, or below 30, go. What do you mean go? As in go where? I missed this sort of conversation portion. Yeah, looks like I'm going to need a little bit more there. Dragon, are you saying run away or go towards it? I don't even know what it is right now. Okay, let's try that again. Marvellous. Almost looks factory. Make sure we do not have any unwanted bridges. We haven't done the little back tabs. That needs to be cleared up slightly. They're not the worst, but they're not pretty. Yeah, they've got the little Hershey Kiss effect on them. We don't want that. That's better. Same with this one. So this one isn't so bad. Beautiful. Yeah, doing your own single person business isn't the worst. There are certainly a lot of disadvantages, but if you have the sort of personality that is happy to, if you're more of a delegator, organizer, things like that, then you're probably better off getting other people to do it as quick as possible. If, on the other hand, you're a poor sap like people like myself, where you have a lot of difficulty in acquiring other talent to do the work that you do, either because you just don't trust people or it's just not in your blood, then you spend most of your working life just struggling to get by and hoping that you come up with some product at some point that someone else is going to pay a lot of money to get off you, and then finally you can retire. It's a hell of a gamble, to be honest. I mean, sometimes you can come up with the right product at the wrong time, or vice versa, or you got something that's pretty damn close, but you just can't seem to quite take that final 5 or 10%, even 1% jump to get you onto the right side of that wave that's going forward. And so your life tends to be littered with all these almost successes. And fortunately, being human, you're generally stuck with the notion of eternal hope. And so you just get up and keep trying. So I gotta admit, Flex Boardview ended up being quite a good win for me, so to speak. I managed to bring it out at just about the right time, and it's doing well, so I'm happy with that. Hey Gasman44, good to see you. She got a BCM2 for high heat capacity. Rodrigo, I could do that, but the trouble is I got to change tip then. Whereas at least with this JSO2 technique, with the hot air, I can just whip out the hot air and boom, it's done. And I don't have to change tips. And even if I had a second iron, that would mean, yeah, okay, if I had a second station, I probably would put a BCM2 on it. But I do like my JSO2. Come on. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing there. My brain was just on auto run then. Oh yeah, Flex Boardview is being cracked. I mean, look, if you go into the business of trying to crack Flex Boardview and you can't crack it in less than an hour, then you basically, if you consider yourself a cracker, hacker, whatever you want to use, personally I consider the term cracker, but if you think you're good at cracking, you can't do it in less than an hour, then you basically should just go and walk out in front of oncoming traffic because you're frickin' useless. I'm going to just put it as blunt as that. I mean, yes, there is some minor protection on Flex Boardview, but it is really not. It's only there to keep the honest people honest. Like when I had someone boasting to me that they'd done it, I was like, yeah, whoop-de-doo, bro. Whoop-de-doo. It's like, what do you want me to do? Give you a gold star and a free copy? It's like, yeah, and the thing is, there is actually a vastly easier way of getting Flex Boardview for nothing, and you don't even have to crack anything, but you're too stupid to realize that. Can I teach you? Yeah, sure, okay. That'll be $79 US, and I will show you exactly how to do it. But you have to, I'll make you sign a non-disclosure agreement, but $79 and secret's yours. Yeah, it is a square fiducial mark. Square with the round circle. They're all over the boards. You'll see them a fair bit on the iPhone boards too. Yeah, so I don't really get too impressed by these people proclaiming to crack things, especially when it's stuff like Flex Boardview. Now, if they could crack ZXW, I will definitely sit up and take interest. But Flex Boardview, give me a damn break, bro. Alright, I'm going on a bit much now, so time for me to rein that one in and get back to fixing boards. Oh, Rodrigo, really? Huh. Well, thank you for that. That's actually more of an honour than perhaps most people realise. Hey David, can I crack? No, I'm pretty damn useless at cracking things. And probably the last thing I tried cracking was back in 1986 or 87 probably, and I was trying to get test drive to work on my IBM PC XT, and I was using the debugger just to step through, find out where it would do the disk test queries and things like that, and just jump over them. But I found that they were reasonably smart and they'd put in a few hundred of those, so I gave up. What I do more of though is reverse engineering. Like basically we'll reverse engineering formats, protocols, things like that. Which I don't, I consider to be rather different from cracking. Did you have a special whistle to mimic the telephone keys? No. Though I did try a whistle just by, human natural whistle, but that never worked, of course. I can barely hold a tune anyway, which is why I'm always told to shut up when I try to sing. Yeah, I remember the days of freaking and cracking. And the Pirate's Handbook. All sorts of good stuff. $2,600 references, Also, all your base belong to me. Ha ha ha. Actually, the truth is you have to say that 4 times, even though it only says it 3 times on the screen. I wasn't able to get into the 300 audio couple stuff. I started, my first was a 1200. I saved up a little bit. Thought I'd go with 1200 to start. 300 with 1275 was cheaper by far, but I knew I wanted to be faster still, so I had to get my 1200. Full duplex, baby. Do you have stairs in your house? Alright. Let's see what else. It looks like all of that LCD area and all that. That's a little bit iffy, this resistor here. But I think it's okay. And the cap's cleaned up alright. Most of this should come out alright. I'll be able to inspect it better once it comes out of the ultrasonic. I'll test to see if the fuse is still alive. Did I miss something with Hackintosh? Let's see. What tweezers am I using? These are the tweezers, the black ones, are unknown brand. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I can see a crack at the end of this cap, so it's not the easiest one to get out, that one. Yeah, I don't know what these are, but I have started replacing these with the Vitas Superfine that you can get from Union Repair. They're not quite as nice. I find them a little bit weak, but they do have... Oh man, it's been so long since I've used them, I've lost them. I'll tell you what are not good tweezers to get. These things. These blue titanium pieces of junk, they are absolutely flippin' useless. I mean, really, really, really useless. You're like, oh look, they're super fine, I can do all sorts of stuff with them. But the trouble with them is that there's no no strength in the tip. So you try to grab stuff, and the legs just bow. And the only reason why I was picking up there is because there's flux on it. But yeah, you just can't really do enough with these. They're too delicate, they're too prissy. And I think they realised that after a while, titanium is more of a buzzword. But now you can get these ones, and they're just steel. A much better, harder, not harder, but a stiffer steel. Definitely I'm going to get myself probably another 10 pairs of these so I never run out. These are good for iPhones, no good for MacBooks. Hey African. Hey Rawl. Travis, did you just order the blue titanium ones? Oh well. Oh well. I do try to advise people each time I'm on a stream, but yeah. Like I said, they seem fine, and even for things like if you're trying to handle the fly wire for doing M1 jumpers, fingerprint jumpers, things like that, they just don't work. They just flip-flop around. You don't get that secure grip feeling. So definitely a waste of money. Ah, Hackintosh, right, yes. Thank you, appreciate that. Lewis has been doing a great job lately. Since he's put he put a page up for Australian repairs for me on his site. And thank you very much for that. I greatly appreciate it, and it has definitely resulted in an increase of business and queries. Unfortunately, some of the queries I've had to decline because, it's just not practical or something like that. But at least I'm getting the queries, so I'm very happy for that. Fixing things. You like the titanium blue ones. I just can't handle them. I'm too much of a brute. Steve Oven was timed out. Stuart Menzies, would you ever take an apprentice or teach better soldering techniques? Probably not. I really think most of the time, a lot of this stuff, you end up just having to... You really need to just get in and do it yourself. I think it's useful perhaps to have people with a similar, say, project or goals in mind, like also want to become micro solderers or things like that, or learn how to do it. But I think it's definitely one of those sort of journeys that everybody has to, as much as possible, walk their own path and find their own way. You can set up guidelines, you can set up, show examples, but at the end of the day, you've got to find something that's going to work for you. Because you might have shakes in a funny way that means you can't hold it in certain directions or whatever, or or maybe you've got a better sensitivity to visually or to touch. meaning you can detect when to do things at the right time in different ways. And if someone's telling you to do it one way, and you're trying really hard to do it that way, but your body just doesn't work that way, then you're going to feel like a failure. Whereas if you can sort of just try and get to the end task, practice, keep going over that, then you tend to find your own way better. Oh yeah, if someone can get ISL 9240s, they can get a flex board view. Of course, you can always strip them from existing MacBooks. Andrew Hughes. I got some stainless steel ones from Model Engineering Show some years ago. Stainless steel is a good material to use for these, particularly if it's it's a hardened, not very flexible one. Alright, I think we're done there. We'll just check over that 1V05 area regulator that we were looking at before. This here, I don't think that really even needs anything. Just a bit of a brush down. But they're hot. As in, they fell off someone's MacBook. Yeah. I think I will pass. Hey, Daniel Holmberg. Alright. Is there anything else we need to do? I think we covered everything now. We've completely covered this area of the board in flux. A lot of this stuff we're going to wait until after the ultrasonic before we decide whether we're going to do any further replacements. It's mostly just the usual array of dust and crud. There is a little bit of corrosion in there. Look at that. Real corrosion in the JTAG. But instead of killing that, I'm just going to flux and boil it. With the flux and boil and then the subsequent ultrasonic, it should clear it up nicely. You can see the black chunk coming out. And if it gives any trouble, I'll just remove it. The reason why the JTAGs, well, I know we call them JTAGs, but they're not really JTAGs. The reason why these can cause so much strife is because the data lines that are connected to it, they're usually relatively high impedance, and so if you do get crosstalk or a bit of leakage from another line, it doesn't take much to mess up everything. Yeah, it looks good enough to me. It's a bit of a sport for Lewis. It's one of those trademark things. Once you start doing it, then everybody expects you to keep doing it. I mean, imagine if Genghis Khan stopped being such a brute, and he wouldn't have the legacy he has today. So basically, Lewis is the Genghis Khan of MacBook boards, or JTAGs rather. Okay. I'm actually going to put this on the foam pad. Still mad about that 3214 DC in board. Oh well, at least I've got one, so hopefully the battery will be okay tomorrow and not have punctures in it. I do realise there's this little edge rubber piece. I'll put that into the container so I don't lose it. I had my doctor tell me today that he was interested in learning, as he knows I'm trying to learn, so I refer to him. Oh, thank you. Tim L, yes, correct you are. 00165 board it is. Whereas nice and easy to tell with these because you just look for the long or the short JTAG connector. Again, I know it's not strictly speaking a JTAG connector, but that's what we refer to it as. It probably drives a few people up the wall with their OCD just as much as I kind of get driven up the wall when people refer to TriStar as U2. It's like U2 is a band. An old band now. Okay, that's not very nice. But yeah, I'm just going to get rid of some of the flux off this. I don't really want to soak the poor person's chassis in flux residue. So we'll just get the worst off. Should sell that JTAG. There's a market there. I should collect them and then send them to people who like to abuse them. It's a terrible market, but somebody's got to supply it. At night I have nightmares of those JTAGs screaming as the Rossmann soldering tip crashes down on them, burning them away from existence. Okay. What I will be doing in terms of room developments and whatnot soon, however, is I am going to set up a, I suppose you could call it a media room or whatever, but since my wife wants to do some videos, we do now have a semi-spare room. I'm going to convert that into something for doing YouTube videos or videos in general. Something where we can just sit down at the table and immediately be able to record things with minimal amount of setup. I've got my big 27-inch iMac up there, and then we've got the iPhones and we've got the MacBooks, so everything's there, the microphones, the cameras, all the works. The biggest thing would probably be just coming up with the right sort of desks, and most importantly probably is the lighting, and that's upside down, which will explain why it won't go in. Getting the lighting right, I think, is one of the key ingredients, and that's certainly not something I have right here. The audio isn't perfect here either, but I consider it to be an acceptable level. The lighting, on the other hand, I do not. Nor do I consider my organization here. Oh, I don't think I'll be teaching my wife how to fix these things. She would sooner throw it cannot speak. Throw it through the wall. Alright, we're going to use MRI just to test. It's obviously going to crash, but that's okay. We're used to crashing. But it does at least give me a fairly reasonable idea of how things are going. What does my wife do? My wife is a novelist. She's currently taken a bit of a step back, give her eyes a chance to recover. And then she has the rather painful task of having to look after her man-child, which of course is me. As I go through my various tantrums and ups and downs and stories. And like I'm about to chuck a tantrum now because I can't find my MRI. So I've got my Useless not 32. I've got a stupid thingamajig there. Man, I only used MRI just like a day ago. How many lux of lumens? I would say in this room, I wouldn't want anything less than probably 1,000 lumens would be at least what you need. Probably 3,000 or 4,000 in this 4x3 room. I think you can get away with less lumens if you can direct it better, but at the same time you don't want to be blinding yourself. Found my MRI. Okay. You ever thought to release your custom ticket software? The Aussie Gig? Absolutely not. It is a piece of junk. A piece of junk that's barely kept alive. Okay, fan spin. We're on our way. Let's see how we go. Yes, MRI's Mac Resource Inspector. It works for machines up to like the 34, 37, most of the 3000 series. But unfortunately, once you get beyond that, it doesn't work. You can modify it to make it work, but I haven't done that, and no one's done it for me, so for now, it's not going to work. Pernov knows the theory on how to do it, but obviously haven't dropped him a big enough wad of cash to make him do it for me. Man, so many people after the MRI software. You got to ask in the right places. I don't have a copy of the MRI to give away. Okay, so touch is working. Obviously the screen is working just fine now. Yeah, Bluetooth and wireless drops are dead. Battery's dead because we don't have that. Fan, I don't know why the fan just complained. That could be because of just the sensor. Fan certainly seems to be doing alright. It is now at the point where it's crashed. Once it gets to this section here, the sensor testing, it causes the crash. Steve, you know what I mean. I can't be known for using this software. I don't know how it got to me. It was just one magical morning I woke up and it was there. And then it was gone because I don't have it. Okay. Alright, next step. I know I've got some of those Wi-Fi boards around here. Yes, I do. Here we go. I've had numerous 1466s in states of complete disrepair, so I know I've got plenty of spares of these. The Pixies, absolutely. Yes, Steve Abraham knows exactly how it works. I do not really need the microscope for this, but I'm just checking. Yep, that'll be fine. So now if I bought one of these, and it will be a pull from an existing machine, and it was in this general sort of condition, the parts are clear and stuff like that, then I'm fine with that, I'm fine with paying the price. I understand it's going to be second hand. But I think I'm going to have to go to the other office, grab the DCM board, just to give you an idea of why I was having a complete squawk over it. But we'll get this connected and run the software that cannot be mentioned anymore, just so that it does pick up the Wi-Fi, confirm that it's going. Roll, yes, my wife does an excellent job of making sure that I can keep up with the daily goings here. And it's a job that I think a lot of people don't appreciate how hard it is. It's like if I did not have the support of my wife Like even just things like cooking meals, making sure I've got clothes to wear each morning, even though I run around in really scrappy stuff, but that's beside the point. All those sort of things. Now, if you do not have someone to assist you with that or to handle that side of things for you, then that's more time out of your day that you've got to do it. And you can't dedicate it to them working on this sort of stuff. And in this sort of industry, sometimes you have to put in a lot of those extra hours that you just simply would not be able to put in if you did not have someone supporting you. So yeah, it's a bit of a thankless job, I think, and a lot of people don't understand the amount of effort it takes and how important it is. Because like if she goes out and someone says, what do you do for a living? And she says, oh, well, I'm a novelist, and I also, help my husband just in terms of, run the house. Running a household is a hard job. You imagine every day having to cook at least 3 meals a day and, do all the cleaning, maintain a lot of things. It's a lot of work. And it's a job that you don't really get to clock off from because it's 7 days a week. Install LED panels to replace your ceiling. Each panel is 6500. Oh, I cannot handle the 6500s. I'll go 4000, but 6500 drives me insane. I know other people seem to be fine with it. I don't know if it's an age thing or just a personal thing, but 6500, I just want to scratch my eyeballs out. Some Australian, I'm getting mad wife points. Yeah. Seriously, sweetie? I'm honest. Yeah. No, I am. Okay, we're doing the battery test as well. I mean, I use up a lot of time trying to keep track of the fur kids and also helping out with the fostering. And although my wife handles most of the rescue / maintenance feeding of the other cats that we're trying to look after, there will be times where I get called out to help with the situation, like the other day when we had to do the rescue for the kittens. So things like that. Okay, that's crashed and burned. I didn't get to see with that. Alright, I'm going to go get the connector and I'll be back, so if you give me a minute. Alright, I hope this microphone does not have long range. I should be able to tell from the comments if it has long range. David O'Gold, what you're trying to say is that you and your wife are a great team. Yes. Thank you very much, David. That's a very succinct way of saying it, and perfectly on the mark. Alright. I figured I'd bring the battery down as well and give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay. This one's good. It's just got to go through the clean. And yeah, that Wi-Fi module, okay, they'll have a different MAC address now, which may upset their router or firewall if they have that set up. But at least if I notify them of the change, they'll be aware of it. Yeah. Alright, so this is the one that I got shipped in overnight. But then again, to be fair, this supplier does always overnight stuff, so they're a good supplier. But this was just a bit of a bad day. Really bad day. If I can get my focus right. Okay, so this is how it is. I have not touched this or anything. And you can already... You can see all the liquid damage there. Something has been chunking into that. There's a rust probably going in onto that, which isn't a big problem, but and yeah, some of the end caps are damaged. That there for the USB, that's got corrosion on it, so that'll probably cause USB communication issues, because that needs to be a balanced inductor, and if you've got corrosion going in on one side there, then chances are it's throwing the balance out a bit. That part's been knocked off perhaps. More pitting there, more damage along there, probably just, that's not a real problem, not really gone through. But look at these parts here, they're all just looking like they just want to be knocked off really easy. So, and then flip to the other side. Ow, I just hit myself in the head, that wasn't smart. Again, you can see all the bad liquid damage. So basically this, look at that, it's like the, yeah, there's no way I could put this in a customer's machine and sleep at night over it. And again, we've got corroded dual filter pack there. That's for the camera, so there are probably issues with the camera. That cap looks like it's about to drop off, and there's spots of corrosion around there still. So yeah, considering, oh yeah, that's right, and the connector is damaged. So considering the price that you pay for these, that one's definitely going back. And the lid sensor is buggered up, nice and proper there too. Yeah, something you'd find out of Fallout, that's pretty much the truth. Like I said, they're normally a very good supplier, and to be fair, I don't expect them to put each one of these under the microscope. They've got to be dealing with dozens of these a day. But fortunately, they responded quickly. They let me send it back and all that. But what I did think was a little bit of a doofus move on their behalf, but I'd say it's maybe they got a new trainee or something like that, is they put the DC inboard on top of the battery when they shipped it. And you think, well, that's not a big problem. It hasn't really punctured anything. But trouble is, it's a bit hard to get the depth on this, but those little round divots in there, they are deep enough to have now caused the layers of the lithium pack to short. And while it doesn't kill the battery outright, it does shorten its life and will eventually result in a premature puffing of the pack. As I said, not super critical, but again, you're paying big bickies for these things. These aren't eBay cheap ones. These are guaranteed, meant to work, high price, proper ones. And so, yeah, when it turned up, so basically it was sitting like that, and I opened it up, and I was like, ah, sweet Bridget, no. What they should have done is just slip it under there, and it would have been all fine and dandy. Can you make a Vegemite sandwich? No, but I'll make Vegemite toast. Vegemite sandwich is disgusting, but Vegemite and toast, that's beautiful. Okay. Stockholm's. Here in Australia, those DC boards sell for, I think, $70, and the batteries are $79. It wasn't off eBay. Does the guy you bought it from know you relate to a certain influencer? No, I generally try not to name drop too much, and I sort of hope that my reputation precedes me a little bit. But anyway. Scratches at level 6, but deeper on level 8. Yeah, it's like I said, if I could normally let that go if it was just an eBay cheap one, but because I am paying a premium for the high-end batteries, I want to make sure that they're as perfect as they can be when I do get them. And that DC board, I mean, that was just that really was a joke. And like I said, they haven't put up a fight or anything over it, so no dramas there. And I didn't show the battery and the DC board to shame them or anything like that, more just a case of, well, this is what can happen, and a bit of a bad outcome, but yeah, they're doing a good job and they're going to replace it. Now this is the one I bought before. This is from the same supplier, but from an earlier date. And yeah, this also has various bits of junk and damage on it, but it is a vastly better condition than the other one. Yeah, you don't look at it and think, oh god, that's 2 steps away from death. I mean, there's a little bit of down here, but again, it's overall vastly superior. I might just sort of scrub that a little bit. A bit of corrosion on there. But yeah, that I can live with. The other one, definitely not. Vegemite peanut butter on toast, yeah. The only things I like as sandwiches is maybe like tuna sandwich with lettuce and tomato and a little bit of mayo. What else? Ham and cheese and tomato sandwich if it's done right. Though I usually prefer that as a toasty or toasted sandwich, whatever you like. Yeah. Now the other drama I've got to try and sort out is the people with the iPhone 6, the ones that sent me a whole bunch of the same damn connector. So that's kind of hurting me more than the other one. Certified pre-owned, yeah, pre-owned, pre-destroyed, absolutely. But like I said, they're a good supplier. They sort me out. It was an unfortunate event that it happened like that, and the timing was just bad. You know, I really wanted to get that job done, out the door, back to the person, because I already agreed to go ahead with the repair and everything. But so now I've got another job sitting in the queue that's waiting another day. Let's see. Microwave melted cheese on dark toast, a great quickie. I can think of better quickies, but yeah, no, that's good. Men in work try to make Vegemite popular. Well, Vegemite is certainly popular. I'm sure most of you know about with Vegemite. It's really you got to just consider it like salt. It's basically salt paste, and so if you get a nice piece of toast and you get some good amount of butter on it, so that it starts soaking about halfway, and then while it's hot, you put on the Vegemite in a thin layer, and so it's like a salty sort of layer with the meaty, roasty sort of flavors, and then it's nice. But if you get these people that try to get you to put it on like peanut butter, then yeah, just walk away from them. They're being jerks. They're just deliberately trying to make you have a dreadful time. Alright, okay, well it is now 11:30, so we've done that machine. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate everyone sticking around and listening to my gripes. Tomorrow I'll put that through the ultrasonic. I'll be ready to go back home and we'll be another happy camper. Hopefully I'll get the parts, the new battery tomorrow as well, and then I can get that job out, and hopefully I can fix up that iPhone 6 Plus that drove me insane and get that out as well. I'll show you while I'm here just quickly. This is it all fixed up now. Sort of. Well, are you on? You on, little buddy? Yep. This is proof too that the touch actually works on it. Vegemite, Bromite, Marmite, Promite, they're all similar sort of concepts, yeah. Some of them have different cultures, some have more meats in them, others don't. I should have known there was going to be trouble with this phone right from the start, because when I open it up, it's got this Made in China sticker on it. Whoa, my head's just spinning all of a sudden for some reason. That's not good. I think maybe my maybe my man bun is a little bit too tight tonight, constricting the flow, or I'm just getting excited. Okay, so this is the disaster that we're dealing with right now. So initially, when you do the touch mason replacement, if you're not perfectly good at it, you remove the overfill that's over these parts here, and that stops them being it stops the overfill from contracting and lifting all these parts off the pads when you apply heat to change the mason. So I had already done that because I'm not an expert at this. And then when I came back and it still wasn't working, I thought, oh, well, I'll check around. And I found all these parts were floated, and I thought, well, that's a little weird. I know I could have gone a little bit over the top of the heat, but not to get to there. And then all these were floated, and all this was floated, and I thought, well, I really didn't do any of that, so I know that's definitely not my fault. And then that was floated, I had to redo that. That's an entirely new backlight driver, and they're underfilled, by the way, so that was a little extra fun. And all the LDOs were floated, all this is floated. Even up here, there were floated parts, so it definitely wasn't from my doing. Now the real fun and games was, I thought, well, I better change this connector as well. And so I ordered a bunch of replacements, and they sent me these ones. I did order these ones, but they sent me these ones in one set of packets, which said iPhone 6 Plus LCD, and I thought, yep, that's right. And then they sent me these ones again in the iPhone 6 Plus Touch Digitizer FPC, and I'm like, nope, that's not it. And now I'm trying to tell the people that these are not the FPC connectors for the Touch Digitizer. And I'm having a devil of a time trying to get them to understand me. And they said, no, they said, this is the biggest connector for the 6 Plus. And I'm like, oh dear God, I'm dealing with morons here. Anyway, I did check on the internet to make sure I wasn't being the idiot in this case, because it is not entirely unusual for me to make mistakes like that. But 99.999% sure, just the same as Lewis's Bafang is 19.999% miles per hour, that this is indeed the Digitizer Touch connector. It's a 50-way connector. There's no way you're going to get that confused with the 36-way connector that is. So that's what I'm waiting on, just a replacement one of these, and then it'll be good to seal it all back up, finally get back to the customer, and I'll finally get my little bit of money that this thing totally is no longer worth. That was yeah, it's definitely smaller, so it's like yeah, so I've sent pictures and everything, and I've got the two different packets like this, and I'm showing them, and like one of them has LCD connector 6 Plus, and the other one has touch connector 6 Plus, and they've both got the same connectors in them, and I'm like, can you not see this? Worst thing is, that was again overnight shipping, paid a little extra, got let down. Can you harvest from a donor? Yes, I actually did harvest that one from a donor. And funnily enough, getting them off is the easier part. Putting them back down is the harder part. Yeah. Because when you put them back down, you've got to give them a little bit of pressure to get them to actually sink onto, get the solder to sort of, you got to push through the pillow of solder so that the solder captures the legs, and that's not always so easy, and that's why that one has a tiny little divot in the middle, because I used my tweezers when I shouldn't have. But I was getting lazy, and I was like, oh, I'll just shove it down, and yeah, anyway, I suffered for that. But like I said, that was not supposed to be the that's the wrong connector. If they'd sent me the right ones, I wouldn't have had to have done that. Anyway, I just wanted to check something quickly. Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah. Someone said, oh, but the 6 is a 50-way connector. I'm like, yeah, but it's not the same. And it isn't. Because if you look, see the 6 one, it's got this double barred type end caps on them, and they're active. They're not just to ground or anything. Whereas the 6 Plus does not have those double bars, so you can't just swap them. Yes, you don't want your chip floating or your connector floating on top of the solder, or if what you do is you pin down one end and then it just sort of bows over the top of everything else, and then you're going to get intermittent connections, and that's even worse. So yeah, that's the hardest bit, getting them to sit back down. Some people will put the connector down on the dry board and tack the ends and then try and individually solder the legs. Maybe if you've got a micro soldering tip, like the really small ones, you could do that, but with the JSO2 there's no way of doing it really practically. So yeah, fixing it is different, that's right, but some people have been saying, oh, they're the same. It's like, no, not even close. But anyway, alright, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much. I will maybe see you tomorrow. Hard to say. Depends what happens. But I appreciate you all sitting in and watching. And remember to like and share. If you didn't like it, press the thumbs down twice so that I really know for sure. Just the same as you've got to put the bell twice so that the subscription will let you know. So until then, you'll take care. I'll see you later.